Mike is muted. Good to know. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everybody. Another Tactical Tuesday. Man, we're just talking about this the other day. We're going on 5 years of doing Tactical Tuesdays. So, how crazy is that? That's a lot of Tuesdays. So, although we have been doing like replays and stuff lately, but it was a good 4.5 years of going nonstop. So, anyway, say hi, say hello. Let me know who I'm talking to. I see that we're just people are jumping on right now. So welcome. We've got another Ask Us Anything today. So today we've got all kinds of, questions. We've got some pretty cool topics. So depreciation, something we don't often talk about, but definitely needs a little more attention, I think, than what it's been getting. Negative cash flow, yay or nay? What if the market's going to go crazy? What if the market's on its way up? Does it negate? How does it work out kind of in the end? Condos, how does that work? Do we want to be doing condos? What can we be sure of with condos? So we're going to analyze one just like we would do if we were buying it. I'm going to share my screen and show you exactly what you do to figure out that question so that you don't have to wonder. It's just an answer. And in real estate, there's enough things to wonder about. It's nice when we just have something that carries us through a system. It just works. Type in the numbers, figure it out. It says yes or no. So that's what we are going to do today. Oh my goodness, from Portugal. Hello, my friend. It is what, 2 a.m. there or something? I don't even know, but all the way from Portugal. So, hey, Chris. So, Chris, you're not as far. Whitby's pretty far from here too, but not quite as far. Nice to see you, Chris. Actually, I need to get in touch with you. We have a little business to finish up, don't we? Everyone, okay, and we got Kelly. I'm assuming it's Kelly from BC. Welcome, guys. Oh, it's midnight. Oh my goodness, from Portugal. Wow. Well, thank you for joining us. I think you're gonna learn lots today. So, and thank you, gorgeous hair. It's very big, but I am getting the grays in like I'm hoping. So, hopefully, this little gray journey will be over soon. All right. Hey, guys. So, Estetino Media. If you need Facebook help, these are the Facebook people to go to. Okay, thanks. Awesome, from Tofield. Okay, welcome, everybody. Love having you guys on. Throw your questions in the chat. We know, we can get questions all over the place. We can get, I'm trying to turn these off, but I don't know how. There we go. We can get our questions answered all over the place. Everyone's going to have a little bit of a different opinion. So, we're not the end all be all. Don't just take our advice, but this is what we've seen investing over the last 20 years. This is our take on some of these things. So depreciation, I bet you that one's going to be a little bit of a shocker to you. It's some stuff that I've just recently found out and then happened to come up as a question in Fearless just recently. So, all right, I'm just going to throw on this one more ticker. This is a free-for-all. Throw your questions in the chat. But in the meantime, we're going to get to a question here. Let me see. First one we're going to hit up is that one I was talking about. There we go, real estate depreciation. So when we've got depreciation, guys, who knows what depreciation is? We hear it talked about, but who can actually explain it? And honestly, when I first started thinking about this, talking about it, I don't know that I could. We know, oh, hey, Diane, nice to see you. We think, oh, okay, this is good. Depreciation, it means that, we're going to pay less tax, right? So we're like, this is a good thing. Well, not so much. We actually have an expert coming in to talk in our Ignited group about this because there's so many variables to take into account. So, for example, this question, how does real estate depreciation work? So, yes, you pay less tax along the way. So they take your asset. Let's just say it's worth $100,000. Okay, just for easy math, me and numbers and math, not good. So we've got an asset worth $100,000. Well, every year it's considered an asset is going to lose its value, right? Just like our cars do or whatever. The building itself, so maybe our land is going to go up, but the building itself we can depreciate that because probably it's going to be going down. So an asset can be depreciated. What that does is it allows us to write off a portion against our taxes every single year that we do it. So that can be great in our first few years because we're getting all this depreciation. It goes, against the income. It kind of can nil out some of the taxes that we owe. But here's the part that you know, is really interesting. And I'm sorry you didn't leave a name. It was an anonymous post, so we can't tag you to let you know. Hopefully you're watching. Please let us know if you have additional questions. But depreciation, it says, I've heard that a property value is divided by a set number of years, and then that amount is deducted each year. So, which can, in some years, mean a loss. So yes, it can. If you don't have enough income to cover off that, you know, depreciation that you got, then yeah, it can mean a loss, which can then be carried forward into other capital losses, gains, you know, against other gains. Do you want that though? So here's the deal. If, for example, you are like one of our clients who has been depreciating their properties over the last 15, 20 years, let's say, and I don't think you can depreciate them that whole time, because of course, eventually they'd come down to zero, which doesn't make sense, but they've been using depreciation this whole time. Now, 15, 20 years later, they are now selling these properties. And what's happening is these properties are coming in as, you know, massive wins, massive gains. And they're like, this doesn't make any sense. On our tax return, it's showing that we have a massive gain in these properties. And, you know, in reality, we got this much amount for that property, like a $40,000 check, you know, not a $200,000 check or $180,000 check or whatever it was. You know, it's not making sense. And the reason is because of depreciation. So rather than thinking of depreciation as something that is a tax savings, I want you to think of it as a tax shelter. Okay, it's a shelter. Shelters your money. It defers it, just like an RSP or 401k will. It will defer it. But at some point, you have to pay the tax on that. So when it comes to depreciation, you have to choose, am I paying it now or am I paying it later? But just so you know, you will pay it later. And one little caution is for our client, if you are, you know, older and you're hoping to get some, you know, government subsidy or whatever in your older age or whatever, it may just push you above a tax bracket that doesn't allow for that. It may push you above a tax bracket in your personal income that you're not really wanting. So there's different things that you have to think about and weigh out as a whole. And unfortunately, you have to do that fairly early on in your investing. So we have that expert coming into Ignited. So she's going to help us to understand a little bit more, you know, weigh things out a little bit more, deal with this one-on-one, and then we'll bring a little bit more back to you here in Fearless. So we'll have more on that soon, but depreciation, really good question. Thank you for that. And really good timing, because that's exactly where we're sitting at now. All right, Cape Breton. Awesome. Thorhill. Ooh, good question. Okay. What was my personal challenge? Throw your questions in the chat, guys. We'll answer the ones that are live first, and then we'll go back and answer the ones that have been, or as we go, and then we'll go back and answer the ones that have been pre-submitted. So personal challenge on my JV journey, I think, was begging for money. I felt that by going to people and asking for money, I was a loser, and I was begging them. And I didn't feel that I deserved it. I was like, who am I to go to someone and ask them for money? I haven't proven myself yet. So who's going to give me this money? So I had a real mind block about that. I also am not a numbers person. And so I thought, you know, to be in real estate, like, you got to be a numbers person. And since I'm not, this isn't going to work for me. Like, I'm going to screw it up for sure. So, you know, it was all in my head. Those were big challenges for me. Was I didn't realize that, oh yeah, and then I was like, I have no money. That doesn't really help, right? When you have no money, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I don't have any money. At the time, joint venturing wasn't as popular as it is now. There wasn't as much information as there is. So certainly we can, you know, make it happen, as you see, right? We did it. Lots of people are doing it. A lot of our clients in our Ignited group are rolling with their first JVs and getting so excited. It's awesome. And some are going on to their like 30th, 40th joint venture. So it's possible, but mindset. I'm not a numbers person. I have nothing to offer. And I have no money. So I'm this loser coming and asking for money. So it was a lot of mindset stuff, but tools, keeping on the go, one foot in front of the other, totally helps. Hey, George, there we are. Okay, well, I'm glad it's a drizzly day there, because man, those fires, hey? Good. That's a good thing. It's a drizzly day, way, way, way out on the East Coast. All right, Scotty, we got some stuff coming up for you, bud. We got some stuff coming up for you too. So, there, you got it right on StreamYard. Perfect. Good job. Okay, so that we just talked about depreciation. We talked about our first challenges in joint venturing. Those things, guys, is now what we help you work through, okay? Because it's those things that hold us back in our joint venture journey. Here's a good question, negative cash flow. I was thinking of doing a poll and say, like, who doesn't mind negative cash flow? So going back to a story. So stories, as always, we're going back to a story. And, you know, when we think about, you know, cash flow and that whole debate, it goes back to as long as we've been investing for. So in 2003, we started hanging out in real estate investing circles and going to meetups and doing all this stuff. It took us a few years, of course, to really get going. You know, that learning curve it's strong, right? And when we were first in it, it was the basic thought out there about cash flow was, yeah, cash flow is gravy. That's great. Cash flow is fantastic. You know, it's the gravy on top of your meat and potatoes, but your meat and potatoes are markets that rise. And so you're in for the long haul, your market will go up. And if you make some cash flow along the way, that's great. That's, you know, that's gravy. But we saw it first, maybe in 2005-ish, we started hearing all the fallout from the Toronto condo market and how people had been hedging their bets on this hot, insane hot market and how that worked out for them. And it didn't work out so well. Many people lost their shirts in that run. So that was probably your first time hearing that. Next, after that, we ended up having, hello? Oh, okay. After that, we ended up having, I'm getting, whatever. We ended up hearing about other people who are like, no, do that now in Alberta, do that in, I can't remember if it was Winnipeg. You know, the markets are going up. So it doesn't matter. Buy your properties. I know for sure in Calgary and Edmonton, buy your properties. The market's going to go up. It doesn't matter if you're $100, $200, you know, negative cash flow every month. The market's going to take you to where you need to go, and you sell it. You're going to have 100 grand in the bank. You're not even going to care about the $200 a month that you just paid for the last year. So guess what? We did that. We went for it. We did it. We followed the advice. That was the standard advice out there at the time. And we found ourselves very quickly with 30, 40, 50 maybe properties that were either break even or negative. The idea was if you can afford it, go for it, right? But if you can't, guess what? The market went like this. It did. But we held on. We sold our properties. And then the market went like this. And then it steadied out. And that's where it's been sitting all this time. So guess what? These properties, they are now 15 years in. Those ones that we bought wrong, that we never should have bought, they are now cash flowing for the first time in many years. And the idea is, oh no, well, rents are going to go up, right? You've heard this. Anyone heard this? Like, oh no, don't worry about it. Rents are going to go up. So just, you know, if you have to take some negative cash flow for a little while, don't worry about it. Not how it works, guys. So my overall idea is cash flow is your meat and potatoes. Okay. If you don't have cash flow, you're going to be emotional about every dang decision that happens. Every tenant issue that comes up is going to make you lose sleep. Trust me, I know. You won't be objective in who you bring into your properties. So, you know, whether doing it yourself or have a property manager, when you have a property manager say, hey, I've got these people, they're not the greatest, they don't fit your criteria, but you know, they're close enough, you're going to be emotional. You're going to make those emotional decisions. You can't trust your gut when you have emotion involved. And you're going to have emotion involved if you don't have cash flow. So what do we want to do? We want to stay in the market for a very long time. Okay. We want our mortgages to be paid down by somebody else. We want the markets to appreciate, and they do. Every market goes through cycles and they do appreciate. So we want that. We want cash flow. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, If we don't first take care of first things, we won't make it to the other things. If we don't have cash flow, I've seen it happen hundreds of times now. Have cash flow, we end up selling that property before the mortgages get paid down, before the rents go up, before we see that spread. And that is not going to turn your cash flow to wealth. So cash flow to wealth, okay? That's what you want to keep in mind. So cash flow is your meat and potatoes, and appreciation is your gravy. And sorry, I've missed some of these. Luis Salgado, I don't see him on, but that was the question or the answer to your question right there. So that's my take. Again, others have a different take, and that's just my from what we've seen. So thank you. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to put that one up there. Anyways, okay. Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that, Mel, because yeah, I remember when you were looking and trying to find stuff in BC, and we were like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. So the interest rates are eating your cash flow right now, but it's not coming out of your pockets. Good news for you and your partners for sure, because you went to a market that had good cash flow. If you'd stayed in your market, yeah, this would be a really this would be a super stressful time for you. Hey, I actually never thought about that, but yeah, you probably heard enough of my renting. Iveta is from Portugal. I'm so glad you're here. So, okay, that is question number 2 from the pre-submitted ones. Okay, if you have questions, throw them in the chat. We'll get to them today. Let me see. Next question. Okay, here's where we're going to break down whether we buy a property or not. Okay, so there's so many properties that we, is this a good deal? Is it not a good deal? Well, what if the market goes up? Well, what if it's negative, but I can force it to cash flow? Or what if, what if I can, what if? And there's lots of, good ideas out there. But I want to show you exactly how we analyze a property. So we had a question that came in. And the question is, would you suggest buying a condo if the reserve fund is good? So the reserve fund being the condo corporation that owns the common areas, the hallways, the parking lots, all that. They have to have enough of a reserve fund in their fund that, if they need to replace windows tomorrow, they could without having to call for all the owners to bring cash in. So if the reserve fund is good and I can make it cash flow. So those are 2 very good questions. Okay, so if the reserve fund is good, that is essential. So make sure to read the minutes. You can get, when you're buying a condo, you get a package from the condo board and you review them. Now, don't just review the 2-3 meetings, review meeting minutes from the last year and a half even, because you really get a feel for what's going on in that condo corporation, whether or not they've already done an assessment, whether they think one will come in 2024, whatever might happen. That's going to be money out of your pocket. So you want to know about these things. So first off, read the minutes. Reserve fund is always a good idea. So good job thinking about that. Now, making something cash flow. Now let's take a look here. I want to just share my screen. And what I want to show you. Oh, yes, I forgot how this all works. Okay. So this is, actually, you know what? I think I will share this one instead for now. Sorry, guys, bear with me. Why aren't you coming up? No. What I want to share with you is our property, it's our cash flow sheet. It's what we use when we're looking to, get into a property and we're trying to see and analyze whether or not we're going to buy it. Screen share is canceled. I don't know why. And it's not showing up here. Oh, there it is. Yay. Sorry. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay. So hopefully you can see this. So this is our cash flow sheet. This is how we analyze all properties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, just along with you, I'm going to analyze this property. So let me see if I make this a little bit bigger. I hope you can see it. I did practice this earlier. I promise I did. And none of this happened. So yeah. I was looking for a little Zoom thing. That one's confusing me. But okay, anyways. So this sheet here is a one-page sheet, but this is going to answer all of your questions. So the question that we had was, would you buy a condo? Let's say it's undervalued by $50,000. Would you buy this condo? Would you buy it if you could get it for no money down? Would you buy this condo in a market that's supposed to appreciate? Okay. So depends on, of course, so many people wonder, but let's take a peek at this. Okay. So this is where we're going to throw the numbers in. So what we need first is we need our rent number. Okay. So I have to stop screen and reshare. We need our rent number. So this is where I get the rent numbers from, guys. It's not rocket science, I promise. So right here, go to your most used rental site for your area. If you do a Google search and see which ones, pretend you're a tenant, one bedroom place, whatever, see what Google is putting as top, because that's what tenants are going to see, right? So go into that. In this case, I'm seeing, in the area, I have the address only. So in the area, I'm right in here. Okay, so I start going through and I start looking at, all right, what are apartments going for? Now, yes, yours can be nicer or not as nice or a little bit different. One's a house. These ones all, are different. But you still get a feeling for what's happening in the area. And that's what we want, okay? We want a feeling for what's happening in the area. So I did this earlier, and the feeling that I got from this is that I'm going to use the number in my property. Nope, there we go. Hang on. There we go. In my cash flow sheet right here, my rental number is going to be $1,550. Okay, that's how much I think I can get for rent on this average place. Now, it might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less, but as a quick guess, I'm going to guess that I can get $1,550. Now, mortgage payments. How do I know the mortgage payment? Of course, as investors, we put down 20%. So in here, we're going into here. The price of this condo is $197,000. Okay, so that's what one for sale right now is going for. So I'm going to throw in exactly the asking price. I'm not going to throw in the price that they're, oh, if I can get 10,000 off, or if I can, I'm going to put in what the market price is, because that's probably what I'm going to sell it for if I get really stuck and need to move on. That's most probably what I'm going to sell it for. So how's that interest rate looking? 3.19%. Doesn't look too good, right? So we're going to go, let's do 6.5, might as well. So my mortgage payment is $1182. Now, where do I get my taxes from? I'll show you this one too. All I do, it is super simple, guys. I go into a City of Edmonton website. You know what? I don't even know where it went. I had it all ready for you, I promise. Okay, so I go into the City of Edmonton website and I type in City of Edmonton property taxes. And what comes up is a spot that you can put in the value of the place and you find out what the property taxes are. In this case, the property taxes are, I'm just going to throw that in there. Oh my goodness, I need to stop clicking. The property taxes are $155 a month, approximately. Okay. Now, one big thing with condos is you have to know how much the condo fee is, right? So in this case, I know that it was said that the condo fee was $630, but actually the condo fee on this place is $725 per month. Yes, it's a newer condo. Yes, it includes heat. No, that doesn't matter. $725 a month is huge. So if you take a peek, you are looking at negative $640 a month. So not easy, right? Not easy to be buying this property. So this is how we analyze a property. If it's $640 negative cash flow, I don't care if you got it for free. I don't care if it was 150 grand. I don't care if it was 30 grand or no money down or 20%. I don't care. Fact is, it's negative cash flow, and that is going to take you out of the game if you buy it. You now add yourself stress. You now have put a gun to your own head that you have to do certain things. It's pretty tight. So whether you get it no money down or not, whether you get it with a partner or not, whether you do an agreement for sale or not, or a rent to own on it or not, all of those things are so subjective. Your answer is right in front of your face. Negative $640 a month, done deal. So let me see if there's any questions about that. Let me see. Hey, Amy, nice to see you. That is a huge condo fee. Yeah, and that's really tough to get rid of. So when you want to sell the property, guys, and you have a $725 a month condo fee, when you want to sell that property, oh my goodness, it's real tough. All right, let's hit a tenant question. How do you handle tenant move out and move in? Tenants are moving out on June 30th. Okay, I've got a good trick for you for this. Tenants moving out June 30th. New tenants are moving in July 1st. However, they want to move in June 30th. They are out of their old place on the 30th, have nowhere to go, and need time to paint and refresh the suite. Suggestions. Okay, so awesome question. So first off, I'm just going to say there is a video. I don't know, Jules, if you'd be able to find it fast enough, but in our YouTube, there is a video that explains why we do our leases from the 25th of the month to the 24th of the month. Okay, so not from the 1st to the 30th or 31st, 25th of the month to the 24th of the month. And the reason that we do that is for exactly what you're talking about, is when there are these move outs, it's sure tough. And it used to stress me out beyond words. And I heard it, I think it was from Veldon Palm. We were first starting out and they said, hey, do your leases on an odd day. So here's what happens is, if you do your leases on the 25th of the month, once, let's say they wanted to stay until the 1st, you can certainly negotiate that with the people who are in your place. Like people say, well, what about that last week? Where are your tenants going to go if they can't get into their place till the 1st? You know what? You can negotiate it. Say, yeah, no problem. You can stay, but here's what I'm going to need from you in order to make that happen. I'm going to need you to use my carpet cleaners. I'm going to need to send a painter in the day, 2, 3, 4 days ahead. I'm going to need to, you have to use my cleaners so that I know that all of these things are done and I'm not going to have to worry about it when there's a tight tenant turnover like the one you're talking about. So it's awesome. I would never do it any other way now, but let's now get to your question. We're not there, right? We didn't do that. So we're in this position. Now, tight turnaround. So what I would do here, because they want to move in on the 30th, I would say to them, okay, I can make that happen, but here's the deal. I can't guarantee, that it's going to be clean for you. I can't guarantee the carpet's going to be done. I can't guarantee, or dry. I can't guarantee that, the painters are going to be done. So I can let you move in on the 30th. Why don't we do this? I'll let you move in on the 30th. We'll give you a few days to get settled. And then I'm going to bring some painters in. How does that sound? And when you're holding the cards and they're the ones that are stuck in needing a favor, you're going to get their agreement. So key here is on the move-in report, you're going to say, if there's something wrong with the walls, whatever you're going to say, tenant accepts walls as they are to be painted by landlord or at landlord's expense before this date. Give yourself a couple weeks just in case something happens with the painter. So, but yeah, since you're the one in control, you'll get them to comply. They'll be like, yeah, sure, that's no problem. So I would have my painters or my cleaners scheduled to go in, even if the previous cleaner says, oh no, I'm going to leave it perfect. When they're out at noon, I would have cleaners there, even if it's just for a touch-up clean. But if it ends up being a bigger clean, at least you've got them there. So book them so that that's done and you have them. Carpet cleaners, you can have them, the previous tenants arrange that. So, can we arrange that for this day or that day? Oh, well, we won't be fully out. Stuff will still be in this room or that room. Okay, can you make sure it's all just in one room? And then at least the carpet cleaners can do like 90% of the place, right? That's how I would handle it. There's probably lots of suggestions of other people that, that they would like to, you can throw in the chat, guys. We're here to learn as a group. But yeah, it's tight and it's stressful, but it's quite a bit about getting everybody on board and like to make all of this happen. These other people want to move in the same day that you're leaving. It's going to be a little bit tight. So I was wondering if I could get carpet cleaners in before you leave or whatever it might be. Okay. So just communicating, and people are usually happy to help each other out, usually. So, but the biggest tip I can give you is to check out that video on why we do, our rent starts and ending on the 25th of the month. It's just so much better. I love it. All right, Amy. Okay, let me see. Do you have a money partner? Yeah, do we have more than one money partner on? Do you have with one money partner more properties? Is it treated as a group agreement where all listed and each property is covered in a separate agreement? So yes, we've had more than one partner on one property. So sometimes they've both brought money, sometimes it's a time exchange, whatever it might be. And it's all on one joint venture agreement. So everybody's names, but it's like party A, party B, party C. But yeah, you can put, I don't recommend putting too many because it gets a little chaotic, hard to keep track of. But yes, we absolutely do. Yes, good idea on the last ones. For some reason, I'm just seeing these comments now. Absolutely, when we're analyzing that property, you can throw in, okay, so what rent am I going to need? And you can play with that rental number until you get to the point where you've got a couple $100 a month in cash flow or got 10% worth of cash flow coming in, whatever it might be. And yeah, you can reverse engineer for sure. How often do you paint the apartments after tenants leave? Okay, so we paint in our province. We are mandated to paint every 3 years. So if the place has not been painted in that 3 years and someone moves out and they leave, little nicks, just normal wear and tear. If it's beyond that, we have other options. But if it's just normal wear and tear, the obligation is on us to paint. That's because our Residential Tenancies Act says that. Depending on what, province or state or country you're in, it might be different. But it's just based on wear and tear. So one point about that, though, is always have the painter come in to do the whole wall. So you do a color match as close as you can, and you have them do the whole wall right into the corners. And even if the color is off, you can't tell. Whereas if they just do a patch, then if the color is off, you can tell. So all the way doing it right into the corners, one wall, it's easier for them anyways. So, all right. The 25th strategy, Amy, is that the one you're talking about? Okay, let me see. Hey, Francis, I haven't seen you for a bit. Okay, I'm gonna bring Sean Impey here in a minute here, and he's gonna answer a question for us too on interest rates. So get your financing questions ready if you have any. But we're gonna just answer a couple more questions here. So are you offering longer term rents, furnished and unfurnished? Yes, and yes, and yes. So we do long-term rentals, we do short-term rentals, we do corporate rentals, we do furnished and unfurnished. Yes. And some of them are, on an Airbnb platform, and some of them are on just a shorter term lease. It just depends on kind of the situation. Cleaner for deep cleans. Okay. Yeah, let me think about that, Scotty. I'll throw that one in, Fearless. Um, oh, having them move in first and doing maintenance after. Yeah, it works. If you get them on board with it, it works. And it takes away the stress. So I often will just, when I used to have move-ins and move-outs on the same day, I would just prep everybody for, listen, there's probably going to be cleaners that come in after you move in. Listen, there's probably going to be cleaners come in before you move out. Like I just preface it so that, you're all set. Another thing actually with that, sorry, I should go back to that because this is actually a really good point. When you do have a move out and it's tight like this, I'm just going to go above the words. You can do what's called a pre-inspection. So, well, I don't know that's what I call it. It's a pre-inspection. So you're going to go by maybe a week, 10 days ahead, and you're going to walk through the house with them and say, okay, so on move out day, these are the things that are going to cause an issue. So for one, that gets you in the door and you get to see what it looks like and get a good idea of what you're going to need to do. But for two, it also gives them the heads up. Like I always say, that way, if there's any issues, you know about it ahead, and then I don't have to charge you. You can take care of it in the next few days. And so they really appreciate knowing ahead. They're not like getting, lambasted with a bunch of charges on move out day. So that can work really well too. A pre-inspection, I don't paper anything. I just walk around and say, okay, see this, like that. If that's not painted or, then that might be an issue. And if you want to leave it, that's fine. I can have a guy come in a couple of days, but the price will be approximately this much. So you can kind of preset some expectations. Yeah, that blind is broken. Okay, I'm going to order a new one. That'll be on you though. It'll be maybe about $80 or whatever it might be. So pre-inspections are a really good idea too. Okay. All right. Let me see. Airbnb management as well. Yes. Scotty, can you throw these in Fearless? Okay, if it's recommendations, because I can then I can actually put their names and phone numbers in there. That would be really good. So yeah, right, Karina? They really like pre-inspections for sure. Yeah. And for me, I found it less stressful because I at least knew what I was walking into that day. All right. So I'm just going to go back to, I wanted to sit outside tonight, but I was like, if I sit outside and I don't have my 2 screens, I'm going to get all lost. And guess what? I got lost anyways with 2 screens. That's just not my forte to be in this techie world the way we have it. Okay. So get back to this. Ask us anything. There we go. All right. So Sean. Okay, I got one more. Sorry. Okay, Jesse. James. No, it's Jesse. Yeah, Jesse James. Hey. So the question is, I've got some money. Where am I going to use it? It's a limited amount of money. Where should I put my money? And it's a big question, right? So I wanted to talk about this for a minute. So first off, where should I put it? Where should I start? Private lending is an awesome spot. If you have, $30,000 to $50,000, let's say, or less even. But if you have enough money that it's a nice chunk of change, but it's not quite enough that it's going to bring you, a property that's ideal for investing. And if you wait around forever to find that, sometimes it can really be discouraging because you're going to have to push numbers all the time to find that. So private lending is awesome. And we've got a million private lenders in this group. We've got some people like crazy. I just see Hermel jumped on. Like Hermel's got private lenders. He pays crazy good money to his private lenders. So if you want to find, people, there are people all over the place that will take your money secured and unsecured. So I told you we would talk about that as well. So secured and unsecured. If it's secured against a property. There's a lien or a caveat. And it basically says, hey, like this person can't sell this property without paying out their responsibilities to you. So it's a little safety net for you, okay? If it's unsecured, and for that, you're going to get that 10 to 12% range right now is what we're saying. Unsecured, though, is just it's like they write you a note. It's not a note, it's a letter. But think of it an IOU note, where they just write you a note and say, hey, I owe you this money. And you're like, okay, well, I hope you pay me. So there's a lot more risk in that, especially obviously if you don't, know exactly what's going on with the project and whatever else, if you're not involved in it. So for that, people are going to pay you more. So they understand that you're taking more of a risk. So more risk, more return. Less risk, less return. So if you've got 30K sitting around, yeah, you want to throw it into a private lend. Now you can do this for like a 3-month period. You can do this all the way for a 2, 3, 5, 7-year period. So it's all up to you, but that's a great way to have your money working for you while you A, continue to save, or B, build up through compounding and then have that as something to put towards real estate. However, I will say that even better suggestion for you, and you can talk to so many people that are on here tonight, is joint venturing. So joint venturing, in case you don't know what that is, it's a coming together of 2 different parties. So let's say that, Jesse, you're the one that's willing to do all the work. You've educated yourself, you've invested in knowing and having this knowledge and expertise and all the tools that come with it. Now someone comes along and says, I don't have the time, I don't have the expertise, I don't have any of this stuff, but I do have money. So that's where you come together. So joint venturing is a coming together of 2 different parties and bringing the assets that they carry. So that's our definition of it anyways. So you do not even have to use your $30,000. So you could keep it in private lending forever and just have it keep on rolling over and compounding. That though, the reason it's our favorite is because your money is working for you over here, and then you've got other people's money coming in and working for you. You buy a property together. Let's say they give you $100,000 for the down payment. They get their money back first when you sell. Okay, so you've partnered on this property, you've done all the work, you've managed it, or managed the manager, you've done everything to do with this property. They've just brought the money. When it comes time to sell that property, you're going to sell the property. They get their down payment back first. And if there's profit, you're going to share it 50-50. Now you can see how you got to work your tail off to make sure there's profit, or else you're working for free, which no one likes to do, right? So Jesse, that's my suggestion to you, is pursue joint venturing. And the reason that's so important and so awesome is because it's scalable. You can, as long as you can keep on finding money, you can keep on buying properties. Whereas if you use your own money, there is usually a definite end to that money at some point. So that is my suggestion to you, is do some private lending in the meantime and educate yourself like crazy on learning how to JV and become something that no one can say no to. So yeah. Well, since you gave me the intro, you should talk about the benefits of enjoying Ignited. It seems like we're giving this information for free. We are, but I'll tell you what, the free information isn't coaching. This is just information. It's not going to get you to, buying properties on a regular basis. It's not going to get you to raising money like crazy, private lenders or joint venture partners, or, it's not going to help you manage those properties when you're in the middle of it. It's not going to help you do all that. That's what the coaching is for. Okay. So thanks for that little plug, Scotty. I'll take it. But yeah, so if you guys are looking for joint venture or partners or private lenders, place to put your money, Jesse, for example, just sitting here, we've got Melanie, we've got Hermel, we got, who else is in Ignited? We got Lisa. Oh, Karina's not, but she's a great place too. I feel bad now. Okay, I'm going to stop scrolling. We got Amy. So some of these guys are flippers. Some of them do BRRRRs. BRRRRs is where they buy properties and they put all their money in to making the property go up in value by, what would normally be a flip. But instead of flipping it, they keep it, they refinance it, get their money out, rent it out, and then do it again with that same money. So it's recycling down payments. So some of those, like I said, some of these guys are BRRRRs, flips, long-term holds, short-term rentals. Some are doing stuff across the country. Some are doing multifamily. Hermel, a couple of years ago, did not know anything about real estate. And he's now, I don't know, Hermel, what do you got? Like 250, 300 doors, something like that. So yeah, and he's rocking it out, absolutely. And how much money have you raised? Millions of dollars. So let's do this, baby. Yep. So Mel and Hermel are both know each other very well. So, oh, there, Craig and Lisa, there's another place to put your money. Hey there, baby. Sarah's all the ways investing in Newfoundland. So, $7.5 million he's raised. This is in the last 2 years, okay? And I was doing, so 260 doors in November. It's insane. So, these are all people in Ignited, guys. So come and meet them. They are doing it right. They are good peeps. They are good humans. They're working their tails off. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. But it's absolutely, these are good people. So, all right. Okay, let's get to our question for Sean. Any financing questions, guys? Sean's sitting there patient. Hey, is that a fake background or is that for real, Sean?
That is the view from my patio in Mexico, my condo.
Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. All right, Sean, let me see here.
That's the real ocean out there. Yeah.
The real ocean. That's awesome. So do you work from that patio sometimes?
Yeah. Well, a little further back, it's a little hot in the sun sometimes. So I've got to get out of the sunlight.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. Okay, so you guys probably know him, Sean Impey. Guys, Sean is our go-to guy for mortgages. He's a mortgage broker here in Canada. So knowledgeable. Like, honestly, the amount of information that he keeps in his brain is staggering. And the fact that, Sean, I don't know, I think I've said this to you before, the fact that you can keep up with all the different changes between all the different regulatory bodies and all the different banks and lenders and everything, honestly blows my mind. Okay, here's the question. I'm gonna read it to you. Due to an increase in the prime rate, my variable rate term portion monthly payment is not enough anymore to cover the interest. I'm thinking of increasing my monthly payment and hope for the best, or do I switch to a fixed rate? So here we go. Huge question, massive question. Do you want to maybe put some context around what the question simplified is, and then give us your opinion on that, Sean?
Well, there's two kinds of mortgages where the rates change as the prime rate changes. Adjustable mortgages, where every time the rate changes, your payment changes up or down. And then what we call a variable rate mortgage, where the payments stay the same. And if the interest rate goes up or down, you either pay more principal or less principal, depending on which way the rate goes. But a lot of people got variable rate mortgages when interest rates were quite low, and now it's gone up 4.5%. So they're beyond the point of where the mortgage payment covers the interest on their mortgage. So lenders have different ways.
Okay, so go ahead. You're basically saying, like, okay, so out of our mortgage payment, we have interest, and then we have a principal payment. And it should be that those things balance out so that the bank is still making money. But when interest rates, and protecting your principal, but when interest rates go up, there's that trigger point or tipping point where that becomes uneven.
Yeah. So if you exceed your borrowing limit, for instance, on a TD mortgage, they'll want you to get back on side. So you have to either pay down your mortgage to the point where the interest rate you're paying, the mortgage payment you're making covers off the amount of money that you borrowed. That usually requires a fairly lump sum to get it on side. You always want to keep your balance under the maximum that they're going to allow you to borrow. So you can increase your payments, and it's probably the cheapest way to do it is so that you can figure out what the interest is on the mortgage and make sure you pay at least that amount every month to keep you under the whatever your approved limit is. So if we were
to do that, we're essentially it's like a line of credit in my head, right? Where it's a borrowed product, which is fine. But a mortgage, when we have a mortgage, the benefit is mortgage pay down. We're paying that down every month.
That
But
is, but if
yeah,
you're in a
but
variable, if you're in a variable and your rate goes up and you know, like I said, adjustable, the payments change, so you're always paying it down. But if some investors like that fixed payment, back in the day when interest rates didn't go up, 4.25, 4.5% in a year or less. So they always had a constant cash flow on their properties because interest rate wasn't going up and raising their payments, right? So once you get to that trigger point or tipping point or whatever you want to call it, where the bank says, "Hey, you're not even paying interest on this, and you have to increase that," so you end up paying interest only. So it's like a HELOC, basically. The
yeah,
only difference is that you're typically paying prime minus something for the interest versus a HELOC where you're typically paying prime plus. So you're a
but
little bit better off, but still, you're not getting any mortgage pay down, and the amortization period basically goes to infinity. If you're not paying any principal,
yeah.
you're never going to pay it off. So yeah,
So
it's
what
a
do we
for a
do?
lot of people.
Like we know, okay, so we've talked about, you've come into Ignited a couple of weeks ago and talked to us about, what do you do fixed or whatever, what are the expectations, all this kind of stuff. So um let's say that in a couple of years maybe things will be different, but right now with what we know, um what do we do? Do we increase my monthly payments or do we switch to a fixed rate? What
Well,
do we
if
do?
you need to see what fixed rate you can swap it into. Typically, the banks don't charge anything from going for a revolving rate up until to a fixed rate, right? So you could convert straight across, and depending on how much of a discount, you're probably going to have a cheaper rate. But not, you're going to be paying principal and interest. Your payments are going to go up, but you are paying down principal when you switch into a fixed rate mortgage. So, and you have to change into something that's at least as long as the term is left in your variable. So if you have 2.5 years left in your variable, for instance, you've got to go into at least a 3-year term on your fixed. So,
Okay.
and
So would it be safe to say that it is dependent on your situation, on what you can get, who you've talked to, your lender? So probably safest to just maybe give you a call and figure out specific to that
yeah,
person because it's not really a blanket answer.
it depends when people got into their variable. If you got into it way back when rates were, like 1.5% versus like 6.5% today, or no, it wouldn't be that quite that high because you would have about a point off, but you might be closer to 6% versus somebody got into variable, maybe went into a variable a year ago and their rate is 4.5% versus 6. So that delays the trigger point for a while. So
Yeah.
everybody's different. There's no stock answer. And before anybody asks, I don't know if rates are going up tomorrow.
Are you getting asked that question a lot?
Well, I know someone's going to ask what the Bank of
Yeah.
Canada is going to do tomorrow, and
Tomorrow, yeah.
I got the same coin in my pocket that you do. Flip it and
Yeah.
see what happens. So,
Well, and that's the thing, like, especially lately, it's just been so crazy that there's just no rhyme or reason, it seems. So, yeah, it's hard to say what's
fixed
going to
rates have gone up significantly in the last 2 weeks just because the bond rate has gone up quite a bit. The 5-year bond is what controls the
Yeah.
fixed rate. So as it goes up, as the economy, is chugging along, then fixed rates go up as well. So I always like to remind people that fixed rates are driven by the bond, and variable rates, adjustable rates, affect your HELOC and everything else. That's all governed by the Bank of Canada. So
Right.
the rates can, one can stay static and the other can move, or vice versa, right? So your variable could be going up and your fixed stays, or your fixed could be going up and your variable stays. So
Yeah,
If
they're
you,
two different things, two totally different things. I think that took me probably 7 or 8 years to even realize that, but they are two completely different things. So
yeah.
that's why
So
we need people like you on our team. So that's awesome. Okay, does anyone else have any questions for Sean? Let me see. Average fixed rate for 3 years. Is that what you're asking, Irshad? Hi, Irshad, by the way.
I don't know what the average is. I did one for 4.99 here the other day at one lender, and I did another one, got in the queue right now, 5.89 for 3 years with a different lender. So depends on your lender, and there can be quite a bit of difference in the rates. So depending on the product, depends whether you're buying. If you're buying for yourself or an owner occupied, and you put mortgage insurance down, you'll get the best rate. And if it's a rental property, 30-year amortization, you might be paying like 1% more. So
Okay.
don't look on the internet and Google rates and then tell me, hey, I saw a rate for 449. I said, you did
Yeah.
for someone putting 5% down on their owner occupied house. That's not quite the same as your 20% down on a rental property.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, cool.
there's
Thank you.
more
Thank
to
you.
more to
See, are
more
there any other questions?
yeah, more to mortgage than just a rate. Sorry.
Chris, I'm sleeping in tomorrow. I'm ignoring the Bank of Canada. Yeah, perfect.
Chris will have to
Okay.
be sleeping until after 10 because he's from Ontario.
Yeah, right? Okay.
8
Thanks,
o'clock.
Sean.
8 o'clock tomorrow morning is the big announcement. So
8 o'clock. Okay, well, I'm sure you'll update us in Fearless, so let us know what happens. And then I'm just going to take this last few minutes here to kind of run through some of our Ignited members that are looking for private lending right now, because we talked about that. We know that there's funds out there, and there's a lot of people wondering where to put their money. So Craig and Lisa, they're amazing contractors. Their BRRRR on their fourplex has gone unbelievably well. It's beautiful. They've also done flips for others and for themselves. So awesome stuff. I saw here, I know Lisa's just moving right now. Her principal residence, creating an Airbnb in her basement. She's got four Airbnbs, I think, going already, going to create another one. I don't know if you are needing cash or not needing cash, but raising cash. So yeah, talk to Lisa. We got Hermel. Hermel has projects going all the time. He's in Eastern Canada, so lots of student housing, lots of BRRRRs. So really cool thing that they did was and I'm still not over it at Hermel, was they bought this apartment building, and because his kids are in university, he was sitting around, with these kids and realizing that they don't even like hanging out in the living room. So he's like, what a waste of space this is. So he went and, in his apartment buildings, they turned their living rooms into another bedroom. So you can imagine what that does to the cash flow. And then what that does to the building's value, right? Because it's based on, in apartment buildings, it's based on how much rent comes in. So brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I was heavily invested into something else, so I couldn't invest in that. But oh my goodness, I was like, rah, that was so good. Okay, so Hermel's always got stuff going on. Who else do we got? And this is 7.5 million raised in the last couple of years, 260,000 again. 260 doors again from scratch. Did not know anything about real estate. Joined us a couple of years ago. I can't take all the credit for it, so I don't mean to be doing that, because certainly, well, for one, you take all the credit, Hermel. You did so good. But I do know that we found you your partners. I do know we helped you with some of your raises here in Fearless and stuff, so that's pretty cool. Sarah is doing multifamily in Newfoundland, so there's not a whole lot that are in Newfoundland, but there's a whole lot of Alberta money in Newfoundland. We certainly know that that's the case. So thank you for all the love with Ignited. We love you guys just right back. Melanie's doing a raise right now. She's doing a sixplex, I believe it is, in Victoria. So she just got rid of her fourplex, the one that we followed the story on for how many years? And she is jumping right back in with Colin and Nicole. And Dale, I don't know how to say your last name. Dale is not an Ignited member, but Colin and Nicole also are, of course, and Melanie. And so, yeah, they're building a sixplex. So anyways, if you guys want any information on joining Ignited, you can book a call with us. We're happy to talk to you about it. There is never any pressure. I may put a little pressure on you if I know that you can do it and I know that we can help you. And I'm going, oh, you're so close. We just need to do a few tweaks. And yeah, so I may like be a little like, come on. But if you're not ready for us, or if we're not ready for you, I will always tell you that. Some people, want to join, and I'm like, sorry, you've outgrown us. Like, you already know everything we have to teach you. They still join. Some still join for the network of people. But yeah, some people are too early for us. They don't know quite enough, and maybe don't have the circumstances to put the time in to be able to. So book a call with one of us. We're happy to sit down and talk to you, show you some framework around some things that you can be doing, and keep going. Okay, so I think that's about it for Ignited members that I see on here. So I'm gonna any last words of wisdom for us?
I so that's just a photo in the background, Lisa. So
Yeah, you're not in Mexico. I was thinking that too. Yeah, I think that's just an old picture from Mexico, Lisa. All right. Okay, guys. Well, we will see you next Tuesday for Tactical Tuesday. Oh, there's another Igniter member. There we go. There's another one sneaking in. Okay. Cheers, guys. Have an awesome week. Igniteds, we'll see you over in Laser. All right. Cheers, everyone.